Hi, I'm Ryan Glasgow, and this...
I'm Ivy Isenberg, and you're watching The Real Deal on the Virtual Channel Network. And today we're actually not going to review a demo reel. We're going to talk about pilot season, sort of the do's and don'ts and what's happening with the industry and things we think you guys should know as actors. And hopefully maybe some agents and managers and casting people are watching, so we can give you our 2 cents, and maybe you can come on and join us and give us your 2 cents in the future.
Or 50 cents.
That's fitty.
It's a lot to ask, but we'll do it.
All right.
So, pilot season, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'd like to hear your perspective first, because before we started taping, you were talking about the transition in the industry and where you feel it's going. And as a talent manager, the difficulties in getting some of your clients in the room and what type of roles they're now going for. So if you would speak to that, that would be great. And then obviously I'll offer my perspective as a casting director.
Well, I want to preface all of this by saying this is just my opinion, and this is my personal experience.
And not necessarily the opinions of the stations or the sponsors.
Nor is this a judgment in any way, and I'm sorry if I seem in any way unsupportive, but of anything or anyone, because I like to be supportive of everything and everybody all the time.
It's a lot of weight.
Oh, I know. But pilot season is very interesting this year. It's the first pilot season I think we've had in years. I think anybody will say that. We had a nice episodic season that sort of led into it, and there's a lot of activity. There's, lots and lots of pilot activity going on, but we are seeing a world where it's still names getting a lot of the great roles, and then
So what do you feel is the overall transition? Because I think we've always had a pilot season, and granted,
it's changed.
The pilot season has changed because I think now it's a little more year round, whereas in previous years, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was just a set amount of time from January through April, done, and pilots didn't exist.
Cable changed that,
right?
But
exactly.
The past years have been strikes or threats of strikes or the economy. I mean, we haven't really seen the bulk, and reality TV took a huge toll on the pilot. So this is the first year we see like a classic sort of 90s kind of pilot season with lots of stuff. But, the trend is the public loves to see movie stars on TV. Okay. And so
a lot of movie stars are
willing to do TV now.
Yeah, exactly. Not only as series regulars, but as cameos as well.
Absolutely.
So in terms of casting, I'm finding my producers and directors are being a lot more demanding in terms of names for even the smallest of budgets.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But, the positive thing in this, if we may talk about that, there's a plan that I think everybody needs to start making. I think everybody needs to start approaching showbiz with a new set of eyes and a new brain, because the idea of coming to town and getting signed by an agency and then, going out on auditions, I think that what people need to, realize is that part of the system still needs to be honored. You still have to come here and do those things. I'm not suggesting for a second that, you don't, but that's only half of your journey.
Part of the business still exists.
Yeah, it does. It still exists, but that's only half of the journey now. The internet is the new frontier. And, the actors that are coming to town now need to see, show business has become a lot like every other business, in that you kind of have to make it on your own and make people pay attention to you before anybody really cares.
Right.
In the old days, you would come here, you would get an agent or a manager, and, you would then sit back and wait, and they would get you auditions, and they would do their job, you would do your job, but everybody's jobs are changing. Right. That's the thing that people need to embrace, is nobody's jobs have gone away, everybody's jobs have just changed.
Okay, but can I just say something real quick? I think the actors that come out here from other markets are very open to doing webisodes and internet material.
As they should be.
I think there's an overall lack of support from the representation side.
Yes.
And I think because all of that internet stuff is $100 a day, that they're not making a lot of money, but they're really good launching pads for their clients. So
But it's also good money for a lot of actors out there to where $100 a day means something. $100 a day to an agent means nothing, because that means $10.
Right, but my point is, if you have a developmental
client,
if you have a developmental client, or you have a star name that maybe needs a refresher in where they are in their career, I think a lot of this viral material is really important to relaunch careers and also create careers from nothing.
Yes, you're not wrong about this, but
But it's not keeping the agencies in business.
Correct.
Their $10 doesn't even pay for coffee.
You can't keep the lights on. You can't keep the lights on trolling, new media. And it doesn't diminish the value. I mean, new media is growing, and that's why
But
back
I think
to a plan.
that's why there's that sort of discrepancy in terms of its value, because there is no value to the agents and managers, but the agents and managers' responsibility is to get their clients work that will help grow their careers.
Yes, but that's what I keep saying is, you sound like an actor right now. You are saying and thinking the things, that's old thinking, because agents and managers used to be able to support themselves believing in their clients enough every day to go after those awesome career-making things. You're not wrong about any of the opportunities or but the everybody's job is changing, and agents and managers are having to find a new way to support themselves while we believe in those people, because we don't make a living until our clients book. And so as the business has been transitional, like for example, agents, in a world where breakdowns say do not call, and now they say do not call, no exceptions. I know that every agent and manager looks at those breakdowns and we go, they don't mean us, but a lot of times they do mean us, and they don't want to hear calls. So now that the personal part of agenting and managing has been removed from the equation, how does the individual compete in that market? How do I use my personality to call and do if it's just point, click, and pray? It's everybody's jobs are changing, and agents and managers are in flux.
There are two sides to that coin too, because obviously being on the casting side, I get every time I release a breakdown, if I'm working on a big budget feature or a mid-budget feature or a TV series, I get inundated with phone calls, and I already have some idea of who I'd like to bring in, who I'd like to use, and my staff and I are trying to get out these calls. We're trying to have conversations about certain actors' availabilities, and all the lines are flooded, and my voicemails are all full, and the office, my cell, everything's full.
But when you put up new media, it's crickets.
True.
Yeah.
It's crickets. And what's unfortunate is I've done 2 projects for Sam Raimi so far, for Sam Raimi's company, and one of them was picked up by Starz to be on television as a television pilot. The other
What's your
one,
point? What's your point? What are you saying?
My point is 2 things or 3 things. One, agents and managers need to start thinking in volume rather than in. And
believe me, they are. Look at anybody's management list, and nobody has a management-sized list. Believe me, they're thinking in volume.
No, what I mean is, a lot of times, like some of the projects that are video games, they make scale, okay?
Right.
So people go, oh, it's scale? Forget it. But I've had 6 actors make scale for the day and work and make $50,000 last year. And these are no-name theater actors that came from theater backgrounds that were doing voiceover and motion capture in video games, making $40,000-$50,000. But so many people didn't. So many people didn't submit on these. So many companies didn't submit on any of these games because, coming from a sci-fi background, because Paul and I used to work on Stargate Atlantis, Jeremiah, all these sci-fi shows. Transitioning into video games, everything is top secret, and I can't release any details.
So you can't get mad at people for not submitting on stuff that they don't know any information about, though, Ivy. That's the thing. You can't fault. I mean, how
I can release
in a world where
certain information, but I can't release the title of the game.
But you can't. I understand your frustration.
No, but
I understand your frustration, but you can't expect anybody who's trying to keep the lights on in expensive real estate to.
Are you saying you don't submit on titles named untitled such and such pilot?
I'm not saying that about me at all. I will submit on.
Are you saying
anything,
agents don't submit on untitled comedy pilot? Because it's untitled? I'm just saying...
I thought you were talking about video games.
Okay, so if I'm saying untitled video game and it ends up being, L.A. Noire, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty...
But in the untitled comedy world, you can always look up at the top of the breakdown, and it's untitled comedy, but you can look at a list of names of producers and writers, and you have a sense of comfort. The same way names get to work over and over again, we can look at the executive producers, the writers, and even though it's untitled, we have some information that's built in with that. In the video game world, half of these players, nobody knows who they are, so it's...
Right.
It's not that they don't care.
But that mentality is what I'm battling because I'm so upset about it because this is exactly what I'm upset about. Because you guys, agencies are closing left and right, management companies are merging and closing left and right, and you're arguing about who are the executives, who are the producers, who the fuck cares? Make a living.
I agree.
Send your actors out, let them make $50,000. What's it to you? I agree. That's what I'm talking about. And then on the flip side of being a I think our producers are mad that I said a swear word. Sorry to the world for swearing. But on the flip side of these, I don't agree with saying do not call. It's sometimes an annoyance, okay? It's, especially when, let's say, I am releasing a breakdown that says 50-year-old African-American male and people are pitching 10-year-old Chinese girls. You get that. I get that. Well, could it be a woman? Could it be a girl? Could it be a sea monkey? No, I'm sorry.
Right.
It says specific parameters. Give me what I want so that I can hire your people. So the more you fine-tune my needs into your thought process, the more you can make money. Because then I know when you call, you're not calling with ridiculous ideas. You're not calling with stuff like that. So I think there is a weeding out process of a lot of that now, where casting directors don't want to take those calls because they don't want to have discussions on why your 70-year-old Chinese lady is perfect for this role,
right,
when it says African American 50.
Yeah, but you're talking about disrespectful. I'm not talking about a world where people don't know how to represent actors and don't know how to intelligently sell. I'm not talking about a community of people who hasn't been doing,
but I over-exaggerate to make a
quality
point.
work for, ever. Like, for example, I was an agent and then a manager, and the whole if I sat down with 20 actors and I said, all right, what's the one question that everybody in this room will ask me? It's how do I get out more? How do I get more auditions? How do I get you on the phones? Get on the phones. That's what people say. Get on the phones. Get on the phones. I mean, really, that's the old thinking that I'm talking about. And there is no get on the phones anymore. And with that,
I think that's unfortunate.
Well, it's a sign of the times. Technology is changing everything. And back to, what I was saying, a plan for this. Actors need to understand that everything that we've been arguing about, this is the reason why nothing gets done in this business, because everybody's right. The casting directors recently wanted to strike for a million legitimate reasons. The rest of the town flared up, and got all hateful and unsupportive for a million legitimate reasons. Everybody's right. Showbiz has been one town where there's like, it's I think I've said this before, maybe on this show. It's one big boat. On one end of the boat, you've got, dreamers and artists that have no business sense at all. And at the other end of the boat, you've got studio reps and union people with money and guns. You know what I'm saying? And we're all in this same boat. And there's no grown-ups anywhere. The unions were set up around film and video. How the hell was that ever going to succeed? Nobody ever thought new technology would come along. I mean, they should have asked George Lucas or Stanley Kubrick, who were writing about, futuristic technology that, things were going to change.
So
nothing was bound to last forever. And if you talked to any of, the old timers in the 90s, they all said showbiz was going back to the old studio system. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't really understand what that meant. But now if you look at things like the William Morris Endeavor merger, mm-hmm. and you see that here's a company, if you think about where you have to be to get signed by William Morris Endeavor, okay, you're a huge name.
Not necessarily.
Well, but you're at least an established actor. People. They're not. When they merged, they dropped a huge amount of big name actors, and they dropped those name actors down into the mid-level agency system. It's a fact.
Yeah, no, that's true.
When the mid-level agency system was flooded with names, the idea of developing actors became obsolete. The need was gone, and so actors coming to town and getting signed at mid-level and boutique agencies became a thing of the past.
To the next level.
Well, yeah, it became a thing of the past because these agencies are now drunk with name power. They don't have to develop actors. So with all of that transition happening, the actors coming to town need to understand that it's about branding themselves, getting footage of them doing what they do best, create stuff, use the internet to market the hell out of yourself and make people care. Because nobody cares about you in showbiz till 10 people care about you. And that is that goes for casting directors, that goes for managers, that goes for producers, writers, actors. Everybody is in the same boat. We are all trying to do the same thing. Work in a business that allows freaks like us to have a place to live. If it wasn't for showbiz, we'd all have to resort to a life of actual crime, and that's
Or
the
working
truth.
in the circus.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's just give them some valid, legit advice because obviously we've been sort of waxing philosophical.
New media. Come here and take advantage of new media, whether it's supporting on video games and
Right.
making sure that your representatives understand that you have a desire to be, competing in that market.
Well, can
but
I
it's
talk
also
about that
taking,
for a quick
yeah,
second?
Sure.
So obviously, again, it's a stronger communication between the actor and their manager and their agent, and knowing, hey, I have a ballet background, I have a gymnastics background, I've done theater in the round, I've done this, and this, and also, truthfully, it's my frustration now is. How tall are when I ask how tall are they? How tall do you need them to be? It doesn't work that
Right.
anymore. That way anymore. Excuse me. I need to know exactly how tall they are really, because if something is a motion capture project and you're in a specific suit, it can't be how tall do you need them to be. That's not an appropriate
And I understand
answer.
your frustration. What's funny is
Because
I'm hearing you say this, and I realize one of the reasons why agenting has maybe reached a place where it's dying out is maybe it deserves it. Maybe all that maybe all that, how tall do you need him to be? Is he Asian? Well, he can be. You know what I'm saying?
He can play Asian.
He can play Asian. Maybe it's all of that BS. Sorry, I didn't mean to say the S word. Damn, we are horrible swearers. But maybe it's all of that combined with the economy and all this other stuff. Maybe agenting itself has created a somewhat of a collapse. But the business is changing, and people have to take advantage of new media. The internet is the new frontier. If you can't be a great creator, be a great collaborator. Make stuff people can see. You can enter it in short film festivals.
And also, but the point I was going to make is, before we get into that creative, is to really have an open line of communication with your representation.
If you can get representation.
But once you do, because there are a lot of people out here that do have agents, varying levels of success, varying levels of name value in terms of their agency, but make sure they know everything they need to know about you and have that communication and sit down with them and say, this is my background, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do, so don't pitch me for this, and this. This is my real height, my real weight, my real shoe size.
But what you're talking about are real high-class problems that most people coming to LA will never really get to have, because getting real representation there's a better chance I'll make employee of the month on an offshore oil rig, sweetie. And I am super
I'm just saying,
not.
let your representation know that you're amenable to doing video games, to
if you
internet,
come to town without a SAG,
webisodes,
but if you come to town without a SAG card and with no representation and nothing on your resume, and you don't, and you're not, super, leading perfect person, if you're the average working actor, with a huge potential like most people coming here, then you need to understand that coming here and worrying about getting an agent is like the third most important thing to coming here and branding yourself as a talent and showing people what you can do, and then asking people to care. Because agents and managers, again, their jobs have changed, and they used to be able to care before you had anything. Now, they can't care until you have something for them to care about. And I know that sounds crappy, and it sounds like, well, if I did all the work, then why don't I keep doing the work? And I applaud that philosophy as well. I think that more and more people will realize they don't need agents and managers. I said that as a manager. There, I said it. People can take advantage of the new media like crazy and
I agree.
Build a new Hollywood. That's my idea.
I agree. Making their own content and putting their having reels on Actors Access, having reels on Breakdown Services, having an accessible reel as a link, all of those things.
Yeah.
And making sure that, obviously, since what we do here episode after episode is discuss the structure of demo reels and how to maximize their value.
Yep. And you can shoot
sure that they're good.
You can shoot original footage. There's all these demo reel companies springing up.
And Breakdown Services, they have that service as well, where you can go in and shoot a scene.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the way
all
some of your
anybody cares about
content
is
is
acting.
shot is it's about the other person, and you're like, darn it, my reactions were so truthful and authentic in that scene, but the camera was, the piece was edited towards the other person, so you can put up those scenes and have them taped with professional equipment.
Well, and you have to now. Now that even when you get good representation, we are, aggressively mobilizing at, where I am to make sure all of our clients have some visual media that people can watch because, casting directors can sort by, who has
what?
tape up.
Yeah, that's
And
what I do.
That's what exactly. So even
I
if
click
it's
on, those with video. But, and the thing is
do you ever get down to the people with no video? I mean,
No,
have
because I
you
have
ever run
nothing
out
to
of people?
send the producers.
Exactly. So
I
everybody
just
needs
did
to
a
shoot
search,
something.
and my whole session, literally coming up Monday, through breakdowns, I clicked on this age range, this height, this weight,
now that
and
you've said that,
video performance only.
Now that you've said that,
and all those people, I'm bringing them in on
now
Monday.
that you've said that, for anybody watching this, if it makes any now that you've heard that, it makes no sense to even worry about getting an agent, getting a manager, submitting yourself. You shouldn't even be going to casting workshops. You shouldn't be doing anything until you have the right marketing tools. And that means not just a good headshot and resume. Until you've got something people can watch, then you really you're not ready to be in the game yet because, that you just said right there, I think is a huge piece of information. If you have nothing for people to watch, how is anybody going to get excited about you in a world where that's all anybody that would be selling you can send is footage? So make stuff. And you know what? It's not. I have sat down with people, and I've proven 100% of the time, if you go through their cell phone, if they've been in town for at least 6 months schmoozing and networking, if they can't crew up a short film out of their cell phone, they're stupid. They're doing it wrong. They're not doing their job. They're not networking. They're not putting it out there. Well, everybody in town is a writer, producer, director, actor, something, and they all need the same thing, footage.
Right.
That's collaborate.
Tell all your manager.
I know I sound like a hippie, don't I? I sound like one of
Tell
those.
all your manager and agent buddies.
I sound like one of those crystal waving, tree hugging, blistening hippie guys. Everybody just love one another.
Well, I think we gave actors who are watching some valuable advice, mostly coming from Ryan. And now you have a game plan. So if you don't have a demo reel, put one together. Continue to watch us on The Real Deal on the virtual channel network so you can see how demo reels should be put together. And then obviously, on the virtual channel network, there are a billion different resources for information on where to go, what to do, how to do it, etc. So I think we're a really valuable resource for actors. So keep watching us here and click on some of the other buttons and watch some of the other amazing casting directors and agents and managers give their little tidbits of advice so you have enough to go on. See you next time.
Bye.